Hey everyone, I'm back, and today we're going to be talking about The Silence of the Lambs, and this movie is directed by Jonathan Demme, if I pronounced that correctly, and stars Jodie Foster and Anthony Hopkins, and I really loved this movie, and I've seen this movie once before, and I remember having a great time watching it, but this time revisiting it, I feel as though I got more out of it. And that's usually a good sign when you revisit a film and you get more out of it upon a second viewing, then it's a good sign as to like show you that this is a really good movie, if not a great movie. I'm just going to start off with Anthony Hopkins because he's the most iconic part of the movie, and he's amazing in this movie, and it's like perfect casting, and he's very creepy to watch, and it's you always feel uncomfortable whenever he's on screen, and he's more terrifying than the actual villain of the movie, in my opinion. Even though he doesn't really do a whole lot, it's mostly just dialogue. But the way everything is presented, it's really intense. Just looking at the guy, this is a guy you don't want to be like anywhere near close to being next to, like, if that makes sense. Like, I want to be as far away as possible. I want to be on the other side of the planet. That's how far away I want to be from this guy, because he's just that terrifying. And even then, I don't know if I'm fully comfortable just being that far away, because I feel like he's smart enough to figure out where I am. And I think that's really well handled in this movie, and there's a lot of close shots in this movie, and that's supposed to make you feel really intense, and it's a very well shot movie without most of it. And the only shot in the movie that I didn't really like was just, it's in the opening scene, and it's just showing off Jodie Foster's legs running as she's running, and I was like, okay, that's a bit odd. But I understand what the film was going for. It's lots of close-ups to make you feel kind of claustrophobic and really intense and on edge, and that's made really clearly as the movie goes along, and it also gets crazier and crazier as the movie goes along, and there's also some elements that are really disturbing, and I do appreciate this movie's choice when not to show off violence, and there's blood in the movie, but it's not in every scene. It's more or less in the second half of the movie. That's where the majority of the violence is taking place. And it's, when I think of violence in this movie, I'm really only thinking of one scene. And it is pretty terrifying because in a way that's intentional, but it never feels as though it's like a Saw movie where it's just a bunch of gore, where it's just so ridiculous that you just can't take it seriously anymore. It does draw that line as to knowing when to show violence and when not to show violence. Otherwise, if you show it too often, it's just going to come across as goofy at a certain point. But as far as the character of Hannibal Lecter is handled in this movie, it's perfect. And I really love Jodie Foster in the movie as well. And she just plays a FBI agent who's still in training. And you do see that she is kind of... she's not like a perfect FBI agent. She's not perfect, and she's warned to don't let the guy get inside your head. Don't let him learn anything about you. And sure enough, some things happen, but it makes sense within the story as to why she would do that. And she's also a likable character, in my opinion. And her not being perfect does kind of make her character feel more relatable, like a real person. I was like, oh, I can relate to you. And I do think all of the characters in this movie, well, some are a little bit cartoonish and a little goofy, but it is intentionally that way. I do feel as though this movie handled its characters very well, to the point where they feel like real people, and everything feels realistic. Like, yeah, that's something that would naturally happen, or this feels authentic, and I can go along with this. And I really liked the villain, and I'll just say the character's name. I don't think I'm spoiling anything by just saying his name. Buffalo Bill. And I really love what they did with the villain of the movie, and there's little tiny details that I noticed while watching the film this time that I was able to pick up on, and it made it a little bit better for me. And as much as I like all those characters, they're kind of outshined just because of Anthony Hopkins being so great, and because of Hannibal Lecter, him just being in the movie. Love the character and all, and I love all the characters in the movie. I do think Hannibal Lecter stands out as like the best part for me, and I don't think there's so much debate as to what is the best part of the movie. Well, it's Anthony Hopkins, Hannibal Lecter, and the character of Hannibal Lecter. Like, those two combined is like perfect for the movie, and he's like a better villain than the actual villain we have. But I still love the villain of the movie, and I don't really have any complaints there. I really enjoyed the music in the movie. It really set the tone of the film really well, especially in the opening scene, and it was used appropriately. And any issues that I had with the movie were pretty minor, and I can overlook them, and there isn't really much to complain about, honestly. And any issues in total that last throughout the movie just last for like a minute, and that's about it. And I do like it. A lot of the backstory that's given to our main character, Clarice. And her character has a history that I find to be very interesting, and it definitely added to the film a lot, in my opinion. And I also like how the title of the movie plays into the film, and it made sense. And if you just hear about the title, then you're like, what does that mean? The Silence of the Lambs. Well, you kind of have to watch the movie to find out. Because I can't say why it's named that. Because if I were to explain it, I would spoil a major part about the movie. But what I will say is that it does make sense in the story, and it never took away from anything. And that's about all I have to say about The Silence of the Lambs. It was really great. I really loved revisiting it. I enjoyed it throughout. Everything about it really works, except for a couple minor things. But for the most part, it's almost a perfect movie, if not a perfect movie. And any issue that I have is like very minute, that it doesn't really hurt my overall rating of the film. So with all that being said, I'm going to give The Silence of the Lambs a 10 out of 10. Thank you for watching my videos as always. If you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below what you thought of The Silence of the Lambs, and my social media links. They will all be in the description, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation, and I'll see you when I get my next review up, and that is going to be for Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. So look forward to that, but until I get that up, thank you for watching and have a great day.